Oh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We had stopped on this exercise, and as I told you guys before, if you notice, the exercises are getting longer, but this is all so you're able to pick up a lot more vocab. Okay. التدريب الثالث يقول صل بين العبارة والحوار المناسب. It says join between the statement and the correct حوار. So حوار is also like a conversation statement, that type of thing. Khaybar, you can start off. What belongs with?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. محمد قادم وهو
محمد
قادم هو وأسرته من ماليزيا للعمرة ويقيم في فندق قريب من المسجد الحرام. Muhammad came, he and his family from Malaysia for Umrah. He is staying in the hotel near the Masjid Haram.
Which set of questions will be the right set of questions for Muhammad? Would it be Alif, Ba, Jim, or Dal?
It would be Jim.
Jim. So you're going to ask him, where are you from? Say, أنا من ماليزيا. أين تقيم؟ أقيم في فندق قريب من المسجد الحرام. على مغير, can you hear me better?
Yes, Sheikh.
Right. Number 2.
Shall I read?
على مغير. Yeah, read.
أحمد قادم من بنغلاديش للعمل. فقد أحمد الحقيبة في الحقيبة ملابسه.
Set of questions will go.
Ahmad came from Bangladesh for work. He lost his bag. In the bag there were clothes.
Which set of questions will go with that?
Alif.
Alif, Ba, Jim, or Dal?
Alif.
Alif?
Yeah, Alif.
Correct. طيب, next one, السيدة غسان. غسان is a name.
غسان قادم من موريتانيا. غسان is from Mauritania, came from Mauritania. فقد غسان جوازات السفر والتذاكر. He have his passport and tickets with.
فقد is to lose, so he lost. Ghassan lost.
Ghassan lost his passport and tickets. So Dal.
Dal. Okay, even though it doesn't say he lost a small bag, but okay. Next one, Khaybar.
مجاهد طالب كشميري. مجاهد قادم للزيارة. Mujahid is a Kashmiri student. Mujahid came for the visit.
Which one? Alif, Ba, Jim, or Dal?
Ba. هل أنت هندي لا أنا كشميري.
Ahsan, so you're getting used to it. Yalla, next one. على مغير, you can read from اقرأ الفقرة ثم أجب عن الأسئلة. Read up to هي ابنته سارة and translate.
محمد مهندس ماليزي. Muhammad is a Malaysian engineer. يريد السفر إلى السعودية للعمرة وللزيارة. He wants to travel to Saudi Arabia for visit and for Umrah and visit. ولديه حجز على الخطوط الماليزية, and he has a booking on the Malaysian airline. ويريد التأكيد الحجز, and he wants to verify the booking. معه 4 تذاكر. He has 4 tickets. تذكرته, his ticket. وتذكرة زوجته, his wife ticket. وتذكرة ابنه وليد, and his son Walid ticket. وتذكرة ابنته سارة, and his daughter ticket, Sarah ticket. His daughter
Sarah. Now, what I want you to slowly start noticing is look at when they describing something, giving a description to it. The thing being described and the description, they follow each other in i'rab. What's i'rab? Is the harakah at the end. So muhandisun tudammas, maliziyun tudammas. Okay? I said موصوف and صفة والنعت and منعوت. محمد مهندس ماليزي. Carry on خيبر.
بسم الله. في جواز السفر تأشيرة الدخول وتأشيرة الخروج. In his passport, there's entrance and exiting visa. محمد سيسافر إلى جدة بالطائرة الماليزية. Muhammad will be traveling to Jeddah by the Malaysian airline. تغادر الطائرة الساعة الرابعة عصرا. The plane will arrive.
تغادر مغادرة to depart.
The plane will depart الساعة الرابعة عصرا, 4 in the morning.
عصرا, time of عصر in the morning.
No,
afternoon.
Evening.
Also notice how, now slowly you've got to start picking this up. Notice how تغادر is فعل, الطائرة is فاعل المرفوع. Then you carry on الساعة الرابعة عصرا. سيدة next.
يحضر هو وأسرته إلى المطار قبل السفر بساعتين. He and his family came to the airport 2 hours. I'm not sure. 2 hours before.
Yeah, before travel or before the journey.
2 hours before the journey. سيقيم محمد شهرا في مكة. Muhammad will stay for about a month in Mecca. وسيسكن في شقة قريبة من المسجد الحرام. He will stay, he will live in an apartment close to the Masjid al-Haram.
Okay. طيب على ما let's finish quickly. كم تذكرة مع محمد؟
معه 4 تذاكر.
كم تذكرة ها كم and what's being counted is منصوب. كم تذكرة مع محمد? How many?
معه 4 تذاكر.
تذاكرة. ما اسم ابنه؟ علم غير.
اسمه وليد.
ما اسم ابنته؟
اسمها سارة.
خيبر. ما مهنة محمد؟
محمد مهندس.
متى تغادر الطائرة؟ خيبر.
تغادر الطائرة الساعة الرابعة عصرا.
متى يحضر هو وأسرته إلى المطار؟
في قبل السفر بساعتين.
Well done. السيدة كم يوما سيقيم في مكة؟
سيقيم محمد شهرا في مكة.
أين سيسكن في مكة؟
سيسكن في شقة قريبة في المسجد الحرام.
قريبة من المسجد الحرام. ما جنسية محمد؟
ماليزي.
ماليزي. لماذا يريد السفر إلى السعودية؟
يريد السفر إلى السعودية للعمرة وللزيارة.
للعمرة. الزيارة ذي also. العمرة والزيارة. Well done. We'll stop there. I want to move on to fiqh. Inshallah, this week we'll finish Kitab al-Zakah. Today is Tuesday. Today we'll go over people who are not allowed to take zakah, not deserving of zakah. Then we'll go over some miscellaneous masail in zakah. And then we'll end off with sadaqatul fitr. After that, inshallah, I want to move to Hajj. We can go through Hajj, hopefully, inshallah. If we take a little bit more, we can finish Hajj before Hajj, so at least you'll be able to go over it. And when Hajj is going on, you'll be able to understand more, inshallah. Right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yesterday we spoke about those people who are deserving of zakah. Khaybar, give us two. You know you weren't here, but...
From one of them is the faqir, the other one is miskin.
Who's poorer? Those people are both poor or in need. Who's poorer?
According to the Hanafi fiqh, miskin, they are poorer, and faqir, they have less than nisab.
They have less than nisab. So if nisab is 10,000, for example, and somebody has 5,000, you call them faqir. And if they have like 500, you'd call them miskin, the Hanafi madhab. The other madhab, they say it's the opposite way around. Starting with the one most in need, إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين. Alam غير next to
عاملين عليها مؤلف قلوبهم.
Yeah, عاملين عليها who? From amal, to work. Those who work on zakah, I work to collect zakah, and I gave you the detail yesterday.
العامل, the collector,
عامل, those who work on collecting. والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم هو مؤلف قلوبهم.
Yeah.
Who are they? Those people whose hearts they try to bring closer to Islam, i.e. people about to accept Islam, or weak Muslims who need to remain steadfast, or even an oppressor in order to keep his evil away. مؤلفة قلوبهم. Next to Saeed. Not here. Sayyida, next to
Al-Riqab, slave, and Al-Gharim, the person who is in debt.
Yes, so slave, we're talking about a mukatab, somebody who's agreed to buy his freedom, and he's got to pay some off. So example is agreed to buy his freedom for 12,000, 1,000 every month. Then he's got 3,000 left, somebody helps him with zakah. That's okay. That's in those days. في الرقاب والغارمين, those who are in debt. Last two. Saeed. Who else is here? Amira. طيب عالم غير.
وفي سبيل الله and وابن السبيل.
Yeah.
وفي سبيل الله are different types. Those fighters.
No, so fi sabilillah, hold on. Fi sabilillah, there's difference of opinion. There's especially the previous scholars of the past, they said it's only those who are fighting and they've got nothing in order to support them. Okay? And there's those who increased a little bit and say hujjaj, somebody going for hajj. Those who increased even more to say any form of goodness where you give a person and they're able to use that. So in terms of a student of knowledge, etc. Fi sabilillahi wa ibn sabil.
Yeah, they are the stranded people, stranded Muslims in the foreign land.
Yeah, stranded person in the foreign land. Okay, well done. Inshallah, today we'll be touching on those people who you're not allowed to give zakah. Now, if you look at it, there's just a few rules. If you learn these rules, then you'll find a lot more detail comes under them. So now, first is, you're not allowed to give zakah to a non-Muslim. So that's why in the Hanafi books, other books, when you look at it, they'll say, وَلَا يَجُوزُ دَفْعُ الزَّكَاةِ إِلَى ذِمِّي. Dhimmiyun is a person who is a non-Muslim who has agreed to live under the Islamic government, and they pay jizya or whatever it may be. So this person, they worship, they may be Christians, they may be Jews, whatever they may be. They live in the same community, same country, under the same Islamic government, the government protects them and they pay jizya, they're able to trade, etc. When giving compulsory zakah, compulsory charity, even though these people may be with you, you are not allowed to give them. And some of the books go further to say, if it's any other sadaqah, you can give them. So let's say you want to give the guy some sort of charity, just help him. It's okay. And similarly, if you find a non-Muslim in need, let's say on the road, for example, and you've got food, you've got drink, you've got $1, $5, you know he needs it, he's going to benefit, and you want to give, there's no harm in giving that, and inshallah you'll be rewarded. Here we're talking about compulsory zakah. Compulsory zakah is to be given to Muslimin. So if you take that, rule number 1 is you're not allowed to give zakah to a non-Muslim. Rule number 2, they say, the people who you're giving zakah to should be able to own this zakah. They talk about tamlik. Hence, they would say, you're not allowed to give zakah to build a masjid. Okay? They'll tell you can't give zakah to build a masjid. Why? Because there's no ownership there. Adam al-tamlik. And they'll tell you you're not allowed to give zakah to pay for a dead person's kafan. Why? Because the dead person doesn't own. Okay? Adam al-tamlik, mayyit. Also, they'll tell you you're not allowed to give zakah to pay the debt of a dead person because he can't own it. What does all this come under? They say tamlik. So if you are going to give a poor person in front of you who's in need, the minute you take your zakah and you give it to him, he's now the owner of it. If you put into a masjid, who is, according to this opinion, who is there to receive that and take ownership of it? Nobody owns the masjid. So number 1, you can't give a non-Muslim. Number 2 is whoever you're giving should be able to own. Number 3, they talk about usul and furu'. Usul, asl, here, let me draw for you. Usul, here in this context, is talking about anybody who was a reason for you to come into existence. So that would mean your father, your father's father, your father's 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 father, all the way up. Same with your mother's side. So if a person's father is poor, let's say he's got nothing, and this person has to give him zakah. This person wants to give him zakah, he's not allowed to give him zakah. So you can't give zakah to your father, your grandfather, your great-grandfather. You can't give zakah to your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, etc. All these people who are a reason. So if you put your own family tree and you say, for example, let's say I am here, and then my parents, okay, if this is my father, this is my mother, I can't give zakah to them, and anybody connected to them all the way up, you can't give. So his father, who is my grandfather, I also can't give to him, can't give to my grandmother also, etc. Khaybar, I have a question. If somebody's father is poor, he doesn't have, he's from the fuqara, okay, very poor, so nothing to eat, and his son is a multi-millionaire, and he wants to give zakah, he wants to give his zakah to his father, what would you tell him? Is he allowed to give him because he's a faqir, or he's not allowed to give him because he's from his usul? And if he's not allowed, what's the solution?
So I would say he's not allowed to give zakah to his father because father has a right over him. And
in other words,
the money he gives him, that's the right of the father.
Specifically, what chapter of fiqh does it come? Saeed?
I wouldn't know from the top of my head.
If somebody comes and tells you, people are oppressing others, you're telling this person has $100,000 to give in zakah. He lives in a palace. His father lives on the street, for example, and he's got no food. You're telling him he's not allowed to give his father, even though he's most deserving, and he must give a stranger who's further away. He must give him that 100,000, or he must give another 10 strangers further away that 100,000. What about his father? Isn't he closer and isn't he more deserving? What would you say?
I thought that you are allowed to give your direct family members zakat if they are in need.
But we just told you you're not allowed to give your usul. Ibrahim.
Fall on the call.
Pardon? Alam Gheer.
I think, Sheikh, you can't give it to your father.
Yeah, if you can't give it to him, okay, now is it fair that this 100,000 we must give another 10 strangers and leave him without food?
But he can give money. He's a multi-millionaire, so he can give money from.
He doesn't want to give charity. He's saying that charity is voluntary. I don't want to give. Ibrahim, your internet's a little bit slow. If you want to answer again.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Did you hear the question?
It was about how come if someone asks you about the father and giving it to random people.
Yeah, you have an answer or no?
I tell the guy you can't give it to your father, the zakat money, but you can give money that isn't designated for zakat. So if you want 100,000.
What if somebody comes to you and says, Sheikh Ibrahim, mashallah, jazakallahu khairan, you taught us Kitab al-Zakah. You are telling me that my father is in need, yet it is compulsory upon me to give other people this zakah and not give him. You encouraging me to give something from my pocket. If nobody got the answer, I'll tell you the answer. There's two abwab in fiqh that are related. So here we're talking about zakah. These people, if they are in need, they fall under what's called the nafaqah, is to spend. So nafaqah becomes compulsory. So for example, in the same way it's compulsory upon the father to spend on the child when the child is in need, in the same way the children spend on the parents if the parents are in need. Hence, in order to close this door of hila means like a trick way. Let's say the father has $1 million and he needs to give zakah. And he says, oh, my son is in need. Let me build his house. Let me give him zakah so he can build his house. Let me give him. No. Father, it's your duty to spend on your son, not from zakah. It's compulsory. And if you've got zakah to pay, it's also compulsory. So you're not allowed to give the family tree going up as well as the family tree going down. That's furu'. Okay? So if someone asks you, okay, is it compulsory for the father then to spend on the poor child? You'll say yes, as long as he's unable to earn, etc. Or he's very young. And it comes under nafaqah, kitabun nafaqah, and you'll take it later on. It comes in some of the books. I'm not quite sure exactly where in some of the Hanafi books, but the other books, it comes when you're speaking about marriage, divorce, khul', then after that, when it comes to custody, after custody, they roughly speak about, after habana, they speak about nafaqah. So you're not allowed to give somebody who's related to you on the family tree going up, nor are you allowed to give somebody from the family tree going down. So your son, your son's son, your son's son, your great-grandchildren, etc. One more mas'ala, what about your wife? Again, because nafaqah is compulsory, husband, he can't get away with it by giving his wife zakah. He has to spend on his wife, and if he has to pay zakah, he gives his zakah. As for the opposite way around, let's say you've got, let's say the husband is poor, okay, zawj, and he's married the daughter of a multi-millionaire. This girl who has her own wealth, what she owns, is she allowed to give zakah to him or not, especially if he is in need? One opinion in the Hanafi madhab, the Imam Abu Hanifa says she's not allowed to give him. The other two Imams, as well as some of the other madhahib, say she is allowed to give him. And the hadith they use is the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, where is a long hadith, and then he says that there's nobody more deserving of this sadaqah than me, O Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells his wife to give him this sadaqah or this zakah, bearing in mind those who say that this was compulsory zakah. So here you've got two opinions when it comes to the wife spending on the husband, giving him zakah. So again, to recap, you're not allowed to give zakah to a non-Muslim. You're not allowed to give zakah to somebody or something or some entity that cannot own. You're not allowed to give zakah to your usul, your family tree going up, your furu', family tree going down. Nor are you allowed to give to your wife. And as for your wife, or as for the wife spending on the husband, two opinions, even in the Hanafi madhab. And those who say it's allowed and those who say it's not allowed. Did you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. We took wafir riqab, those slaves. Now let's say a person in those days, he himself owned his slave. Okay. We were talking about, let's say you hear a slave of a neighbor, a normal slave walking on the street, and you want to help him from zakah to free himself after he's got that contract of mukataba. That's okay. But if it's your own slave, you're not allowed to pay zakah to him in order to free himself, because all you've done is you've just paid yourself. If this is you and this is the slave and you've agreed on 3,000, for example, you're going to give him the 3,000 in zakah, and then he's going to give you back the 3,000. So that money hasn't gone anyway. It's just come back to you. Okay. And number 5, last one, you're not allowed to give zakah to those people who are considered to be from Banu Hashim. Banu Hashim, some of the relatives of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The scholars, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself said that إنها لا تحل لنا. It's not halal for us to take sadaqah, to take from zakah, to eat from zakah. That's why one of his grandchildren, when he was eating a date, then he took him like this and he told him to take out the date. And he said, don't you know that we're not allowed to eat from sadaqah, i.e. zakah? So those are Banu Hashim. Who are Banu Hashim? The scholars differ. In the Hanafi books you'll find, they'll tell you 3 ayns, 1 ha and 1 jim. 3 ayns are who? Alu Ali, the family of Ali radiyallahu anhu. Okay. Wa Alu Abbas, family of Abbas radiyallahu anhu. Wa Alu Aqil, family of Aqil. Okay. Aqil. And then 1 jim is Ja'far, Alu Ja'far. Okay. And the last one is Al-Harith ibn Abdul Muttalib. Al-Harith, Al-Harith. So if you find these people, you are not allowed to give them a zakah. These days, very hard for anybody to claim this these lineage to the Prophet ﷺ. Some people may have, and some people, a lot of people not. Okay, if there's poor from amongst them, what do they get? It's called humus al-humus, 1/5 of the 5th. So you'll take later when people go to battle and they gain some treasure, some wealth, etc. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا غَنِمْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَأَنَّ لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ وَلِلرَّسُولِ. So in that khumus, لِلرَّسُولِ وَلِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى خُمُسُ الْخُمُسِ, 1/5 of that 5th. The scholars, then there's a lot of detail as to what happens if that 1/5 of the 5th is not coming. Are you still allowed to give them or not? There's a lot of back and forth. For now, all you need to know is these 5 categories. You can't give them zakah. Non-Muslim, a person who doesn't own, or entity that doesn't own, your family tree going up, your family tree going down, as well as your wife, people from Banu Hashim, and number 4 we were speaking about zawj and zawja. Number 4 we spoke about riqab, your own slave or somebody who has aqd mukataba with you. Any questions?
Sheikh, but in the 8 people we mentioned, there was fi riqab, and here we have opposite to it.
Yeah, so we said fir riqab, not fir riqab is a slave, somebody who's agreed with his master to buy his freedom. You have no interest in it. There's no clash of interest. Here we're saying if it's your own slave, you can't give him zakah to pay you back. Zakah, I was telling you, rich people who go into debt, And let's say a poor person owes him 1 million, and then he has zakah to give of 10 million, and then he gives this poor person 1 million and says, pay your debt. What he's actually doing is he's paying this poor person in order to pay him back. So he's just taking his money back, if you get where I'm coming from. So same here. Here we're saying a person for his own slave is not allowed to give him money in order to pay from zakah. It's clear?
So fir riqab is a general slave and makatib is the one who is a personal slave.
No, fir riqab is referring to mukatab. Mukatab is somebody who at the time agreed with his master to buy his freedom. Let me draw for you here. This is a riqab, okay? Riqab. Another word for riqab in this context is mukatab. Mukatab from kitaba. He's agreed, he's got a contract, written contract, he wants to buy his freedom. He may be owned by somebody else, or he might be owned by you. If he's owned by somebody else, you can pay him zakah. If this is your own slave, you can't give him zakah, because if you're going to give him zakah in order to buy his freedom, it's just going to come back to you like this. You understand? Clear?
Clear.
So inshallah, tomorrow we'll take some masail. They mention them at the end of this chapter. Generally, what happens if you're giving zakah? Oh, there's one more thing I forgot to mention, and that's quite obvious. You give zakah to those who are poor. Hence, if you've got a rich person, you're not allowed to give him zakah. You've got a rich person, you're not allowed to give him zakah, and I gave you the detail when it comes to owning nisab. In the older books, you'll find a rich person is considered somebody who owns nisab. In our time, and due to living circumstances, living conditions, in certain places, a person who owns nisab may still be eligible to take zakah. Then tomorrow, inshallah, we take some of the masail. These are the rules they give you. Then what happens if somebody, for example, tried his best to give zakah to a poor person, and then after a while he found out that he actually wasn't a poor person, he was a rich person, or he was from Ahlul Bayt? Is his zakah counted, or should he do it again?
One question. The
Yeah.
word dhimmi is always used for a non-Muslim?
Yes. In this context, yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Family tree going up and down, which means siblings don't fall into this category.
Yes, siblings won't fall into that category, cousins, etc. That's a hadith that speaks about sadaqah and sila. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Carry on. I'm sure we have stopped here. تدريب الأول. تبادل السؤال والجواب مع زميلك كما في المثال. Here they exchanging question and answers with your mate as in the question. I'll ask the question and let's see who answers according to the picture. سعيد, هل تسكن في بيت؟
نعم أسكن في بيتي.
Again, هل تسكن في شقة؟
نعم أسكن في.
Say no, I live in a house.
Yeah. لا أسكن في بيتي.
أحسنت. إبراهيم, هل تسكن في حي الجامعة؟
لا أسكن في
في حي
حي.
say نعم أسكن في حي الجامعة. Do you understand the question? They're asking, do you live?
Where do you live?
They're saying,
Jamia?
do you live in the university district? Say yes, I live. Okay, no. Where do you live?
I was trying to look for them, but then I have it. لا أسكن في شقة.
No, so they're asking about the district, not the place. So you say, I live in the district of so-and-so. So I live in the حي الجامعة, حي المطار, any other حي. So here it's easier for you for now just to say نعم أسكن في حي الجامعة. They're teaching you, what they basically teaching you here is, if somebody asks you a question starting with هل, you answer by saying نعم, yes, or you can answer by saying no. Here they've taught you how to say yes, نعم أسكن, and then borrow from this picture.
All right. نعم أسكن حي الجامعة.
في حي الجامعة. Well done. Next one, علم غير, هل تسكن في حي المطار؟
نعم أسكن في حي المطار.
خيبر, هل تسكن في بيت؟
نعم أسكن في بيت.
Well done. Right. هاتي جملا كما في المثال. Now they're telling you, you build a sentence as in the example. So they've given you شقة, an apartment, and you have to say, I would like an apartment, please. So أريد means I would like. أريد شقة, and من فضلك is like saying please. Saeed, next one.
The one below, the
Yes.
fridge.
Yeah.
أريد ثلاجة من فضلك.
ثلاجة, hang on that lam, الشدة.
ثلاجة من فضلك. Yeah, ثلاجة من فضلك.
Okay, and notice how شقة got two fathas. So ثلاجة also got two fathas. Next one, Sayyida.
أريد سجادة من فضلك. I would like to have a carpet, please.
Next one, Halim.
أريد ستارة من فضلك من فضلك من فضلك.
فضلي لك, ها? أحسنت. Next one, خيبر.
أريد مرآة من فضلك.
أحسنت.
I want a mirror by your grace.
Please. And last one, على مغير.
أريد أريكة من فضلك. I want a sofa, please.
أحسنت. Well done. Next one. Again, you've got تبادل السؤال والجواب مع زميلك كما في المثال. هل تسكن في بيت? Somebody asks you. Now here, Ibrahim, as you can see, now here they're teaching you how to say لا, meaning no. أسكن في شقة. Rather, I live in an apartment. So I'm going to ask you and you're going to answer. Ibrahim, هل تسكن في شقة? Then use this picture here. This is the correct answer, the one on the left.
لا أسكن في بيت. No, I live in a house. في بيت.
Well done. Next one, سعيد. هل تسكن في حي الجامعة؟
لا أسكن في حي المطار.
مطار.
No, I live in the airport district.
أحسن. سيدة, هل I'm going to just use تسكن for now so we don't confuse the others. هل تسكن في مكة؟
لا أسكن في المدينة. No, I live in Medina.
حليم, هل تسكن في المدينة؟
لا أسكن في مكة. في المكة.
في
شيخ
no ألف لام
في
here.
مكة. Okay, Sheikh, and if I may ask a quick question, I've always heard my Arab friends say min fadlak and min fadlik. So what is the difference? If I may ask?
فضلك is فصحى, is more correct.
Okay.
Can you not hear فضلك is even harder on the tongue.
True.
Unless you're used to it. There's a lot of mistakes the Arabs speak with, a lot. And that's why if you can get away speaking a little bit broken here and there and putting fatha and dhamma and kasra everywhere. But ask them themselves. A lot of them, they'll tell you, Nahu, we don't know. So they can't differentiate between fa'il and maf'ul bih and dharf zaman and makan and maf'ul min ajli and all that type of thing. So it doesn't mean if the Arabs of today are speaking something is necessarily correct. We all hide our Arab, etc. when you're speaking, because that's how they speak. But it helps to know the rules, because when you go to the classical books, that's where you'll see, especially when there's no harakat, then you have to realize, okay, is this fa'il or is it maf'ul bih? Things like that. طيب. Khaybar, explain to us the fourth exercise.
Okay. التدريب الرابع. Fourth exercise. تبادل السؤال والجواب مع زميلك. Exchange the question and the answer with your colleague كما في المثال. How it's done in the, as it's done in the example. المثال. ماذا تريد لغرفة النوم? What do you want in the in your bedroom? In the bedroom.
Yeah.
أريد ستارة. I want ستارة. Lamp.
Sitara is a curtain.
Curtain.
Okay. So here they're teaching you to say, what do you want? I would like this. Okay. Saeed. So you're going to answer. ماذا تريد للمطبخ؟
Looking at where we are.
Here we hear. You cannot see my mouse.
Oh yeah, okay, okay. أريد ثلاجة. I want a fridge.
And Halim, ماذا تريد للحمام؟
أريد سخانة.
سخانا. السيدة, again I'll use تريد. ماذا تريد لغرفة الجلوس؟
أريد أريكة. I'd like to have sofa.
على مغير, ماذا تريد لغرفة النوم؟
أريد سريرا. I want
سريرا.
a bed.
المفعول به. Anybody? إبراهيم, ماذا تريد لغرفة الجلوس؟
أريد سجادة.
Like
I want a carpet.
Well done. Last one. خيبر, ماذا تريد للمطبخ؟
أريد فرنا. I want an oven.
Oven. أحسنت.
Sheikh, what is the exact translation of the word ماذا?
ماذا is like what? ماذا
What?
تريد?
Okay.
A lot of these words you must remember, same like English, according to the context of the sentence, they may have a slightly different meaning. Your job is to make sure it makes sense.
Because I know sorry. Yeah. Ma was what, but ماذا is also what then. But it depends on the sentence.
Depends on the sentence. Ahsant. Here they want to teach you something we haven't yet taken, so we'll leave this for Thursday. They're going to teach you, you learned how to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they want to teach you how to say first, second, third, fourth, etc. Okay? Any questions of what we've taken? No questions?
Structure. No, Sheikh.
Well done.
Sheikh, I have one question. The word sajjada, is there ever a dhamma on the scene? Sajjada.
Some people do say sujjada. Huh?
Okay.
Sujjada.
But is that specifically when they're referring to like a musalla, like that you pray on, or?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Huh?
Okay. Jazakallahu khairan.
Yalla, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yesterday we spoke about hadith, which is musnad and muttasil and marfu'. Alam Ghir, what's the difference between, or define for me those three that I just mentioned?
Al-Musnad is the one where the chain is connected all the way from narrator to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay.
And
So it's
then,
connected all the way. Right, and then?
then we have Muttasil and
Marfu'.
Marfu', yeah, and they are, you mentioned, I think, that to some extent, I think they are almost the same.
Hold on,
the difference is that.
Hold on. Saeed, Marfu'.
Marfu is anything that is attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it might skip a tabi'i or a sahabi.
Yes, so
the
there
chain
may
might
be a
not be
break.
connected.
Yes, so on closer inspection, you may find a break in the chain. This marfu is being attributed to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then you got muttasil. According to the author of Bayquniyah, it says, وما بسمع كل راو يتصل إسناده للمصطفى فالمتصل. Is saying that is also a connected chain all the way to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but on condition every rawi says, I heard from the one who is his teacher, literally, who is taking from. It says sami'tu instead of saying an or etc., something like that. And we mentioned the second opinion for muttasil, more common opinion, is the chain is connected. However, it could stop at a tabi, it could stop at a sahabi, as long as it's connected. So they're saying muttasil is just connectivity. So hence, if you note here, you'll find Musnad will always be marfu, because marfu is being attributed to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Musnad, we already know, goes to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And muttasil is also connected, hence your Musnad will also be muttasil, connected to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Did you understand that? As revision. Today we're going to take a different type of hadith. It's called musalsal. It is musalsalun qul ma ala wasfin ata. There's certain ahadith where there's a description mentioned in the hadith, a specific description. Okay? And this description, every single narrator who narrates this hadith gives you that description. It says, قُلْ مَا عَلَى وَصْفٍ أَتَى كَذَاكَ قَدْ حَدَّثَنِي بَعْدَ مَا حَدَّثَني تَبَسَّمَ. So for example, if I'll give you an example of a hadith. The hadith of Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, where the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, Inni uhibbuk, I love you, O Mu'adh. Then he told him, don't leave at the end of every salah, Allahumma inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. So then Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, when he was narrating to his student, i.e. it could have been another sahabi or tabi'i, he also used that very same wording. He says, Inni uhibbuk, I love you. And then he gave him the hadith. And this, so let me draw this for you. So the Messenger ﷺ told him that I love you. There's this specific wording. And then Tabi'i, the Sahabi, Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, told his student the same thing, Inni uhibbuk. And the student told the next same thing, Inni uhibbuk. And the next one who he narrated to all the way up to us. He gave him this specific description before telling him the hadith. So much so, inshallah, one of the days I'll get you my isnad and I'll give you the hadith from it completely. So you will also have a chain in this hadith all the way to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'll say, Inni uhibbuk, and then it gives him the hadith. What's the benefit of this? Few benefits. Firstly, it shows you how accurate and how deep the people of hadith went when it came to their asanid, when it came to protecting this knowledge or this type of knowledge, this piece of knowledge. It also shows us that the person narrating the hadith, when you go to somebody and when you're speaking about somebody and you say that I met this person and he told me that he has a business that's doing $100 a day, for example. Is there a difference between that and if you had to say and give more description to say, I went to this person's house. It's on the street address number 8, Park Road. And we went up to the 4th floor. And on the 4th floor, we entered flat number 3. And at flat number 3, he offered me a Coke and biscuits. And then he told me about this. The second person who's narrating, because he's got so much more detail, you understand that he more likely knows what he's talking about, right or wrong. So similarly, when it comes to hadith musalsal, it says musalsalun qul ma ala wasfin ata مثل أما والله أنباني الفتى كذاك قد حدثنيه قائما أو بعد ما حدثني تبسما. So this musalsal could be in the form of speech, for example, okay, the one we gave, hadith of Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, or it could be an action. So for example, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in a certain hadith, he smiles. And then the Sahabi narrating, when he's narrating to the next person, exactly at the point where the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiled, he also smiles. And then the one who is narrating to, when he gives him the hadith, he also smiles. And the chain carries on all the way up to us. So you find these people who've got these asanid. It's hadith al-musalsal bil-awwali, and there's different types of musalsal. There's those which the first hadith a person heard. And generally you find that that one is ar-rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-rahman irhamu man fil ardi yarhamkum man fis sama'. So they call it al-hadith al-musalsal bil-awwaliya. Why? Because every person who's narrating from the sheikh, he says, this is the first hadith I heard from my sheikh, and that person says, and it's the first hadith I heard from my sheikh, and the first hadith, until they get to the actual hadith, and they give it to you. Also, there's musalsal, hadith musalsal for Surah Sad, where everybody who's narrating that hadith, they actually read Surah Sad. Also, when it comes to a hadith of Mahabba, where the Messenger told Mu'adh that I love you, and he told the other that I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and went all the way down, and they gave the piece of advice. So what's the benefit of this? This is just to know how accurate the people were, and to understand that when speaking about these ahadith, it's a science on its own, and it's something we should appreciate. People came, they memorized this, they understood this, and they protected this knowledge for it to reach us. Any questions? I hope you understood.
Sheikh, so musalsal would mean that all the narrators, they agree with each other on the specific wordings of a certain hadith
Not necessarily a specific wording, no. A specific, it could have been a specific, we're not speaking about the actual hadith now, what the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam say. We're speaking about an action that may have occurred. What action? The person smiled at him. The person told him while he was standing, so this person also stood up. You understand? So it's something not
so the wording might
from
be
the
different,
hadith.
but it's the action. Okay.
The wording will also be the same. So if you look at those hadith which are musalsal, you'll find that the wordings will also be the same.
Okay.
Inshallah, I'll find you those three, and then I'll read them for you guys. Then inshallah, you will also have your isnad going all the way to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you can say that I heard a hadith from my teacher, who heard from his teacher, who heard from his teacher, who heard from his teacher, all the way to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you'll have a chain which is connected, inshallah.
Inshallah.
My question is, do we consider all the musalsal hadith sahih?
No. Same when it comes to, as we mentioned, musnad. Not everything that's considered to be musnad is sahih. Not everything that's claimed to be muttasil will be sahih. It could be sahih, it could be hasan, it could be da'if. Not everything that's musalsal is just a type of hadith, but may not be sahih.
So with musalsal hadith, so it would be like, let's say, Alam Gheer was my student and you were my teacher. So I would say, I love you, Alam Gheer. And then my teacher, Adnan, told me I love you, and then narrate the hadith.
Yes, literally, like that.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And what all this is for what? All this is to preserve the wording that came from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're preserving the wording, and you're showing exactly what happened. So exactly this Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahabi, and you're telling when he gave me this wording, this, for example, this action or this smile or this thing that he told me was also there, and I told the next person and the next person and the next person. It's just something interesting, something nice. You know, when you're able to trace now with technology, when they go through carbon dating and when they do things like that, similar type of concept. It's something interesting and something that we appreciate, especially coming later on to say for 1400 years, this word exactly how it was preserved.
جزاك الله خير.
آمين وإياك.